Internet family, Get Prepared tribe, welcome. I want to welcome you to my channel here. Who am I? What am I going to be talking about? We're going to answer these questions right now since this is the introduction. First and foremost, if you're coming over from Instagram, where my main following is, you'll know me as the emergency expert. I talk about emergency preparedness, especially at the basic levels for people to understand the concepts they need that they can then build upon. So a big part of that is planning, understanding your survival timelines, all these great things that help you paint a bigger picture as to how prepared you really are and what kind of hazards and threats you may face and how to directly build plans around those. So we talk about planning a lot. We talk about training. What training is out there that you can get to immediately upgrade your ability to respond to both personal emergencies, greater emergencies, and maybe something even bigger like natural disasters or events that take place over a longer period of time. Any of those classes and skills can be anything from first aid, sustainable gardening, firearms training, understanding operational security, both personal security, security online, stuff like that, and any other training that might be useful for your life or for handling emergencies as they come. The third thing we're going to be focused on a lot is building community. How do we build these relationships with neighbors, with associates, with businesses, with people maybe within our own local government, so that we can insulate ourselves and have resources to tap into if something happens to us, if something happens to someone we care about. We know we have the people in place to help us manage and make it through an event or something of that nature. And then lastly, that's the third one, which is the big one, which is the community. Within the overall planning and preparedness of that, there are going to be some key topics that I discussed. Now, give me a second. I'll bring up my notes here so it's easy, so I don't have to turn behind. I can continue to face the camera. So, first one being food. Food is a huge topic. Water is a huge topic. Shelter is a huge topic. And we're going to talk about how to break those down into, no pun intended, digestible parts so we can do effective food planning. And so we're not just buying a bucket of food that has a 25-year shelf life, throwing it on a shelf and saying we're good. Because that's a mistake I see a lot of people make, especially if they have partners, spouses, and family members who may not be on board with whatever's in that bucket. The second one is water. How do we manage water? How do we think about water, especially if we live in certain environments where maybe we don't have our own water source, we're on city water, or if we're in an area like the desert or in winter when pipes freezes. How do we plan for some of these long-term events that we're seeing that are becoming more and more predominant in terms of our water management and how we stay safe and alive? The third is power. For most people, power is going to be a big one, especially if you live in an apartment or a townhouse or you're a renter. Being able to store gas, things of that nature may not be allowed, or you may need to figure out other ways of doing it. And so we're going to talk about some of those things. I've had the experience of living in some not so great circumstances or very tight confined spaces for extended periods of time. And we always found ways to adapt to that so that we still had a good supply of water, power, and other things, and how to manage those. So I'll be able to provide you with some tips on that as well. Then we have sanitation and medical. And the reason why those are kind of grouped together but also separate is that poor sanitation often leads to the necessity for medical care. So if we can manage our sanitation, our human waste, our trash buildup, our food buildup, all that stuff correctly, we can oftentimes prevent the need for medical attention later. And then we have medical in a standalone because we have kind of long-term medical focus. If people get sick within our family, if there's some sort of illness going around, maybe a pandemic, then what can we stock and have in rotation to provide us with the necessary antibiotics, over the counters, prescriptions, whatever the case may be, and how do we obtain those from various sources? We're going to talk about that as well. And then the other side is your immediate medical attention, your trauma care. Do we have all the things to handle certain injuries such as arterial bleeding, sucking chest wounds, things of that nature, objects protruding in an eye, anything along that requires immediate attention? Can we manage that until we can get them to a greater care like a hospital or something like that? And then we're going to talk about mobility. Are we in shape, one, to work and to move in a disaster, in a poor weather condition? Do we have the equipment such as a vehicle? What are the capabilities of our vehicle to handle these disasters that may be prevalent in our areas? Do we have four-wheel drive? How much cargo capacity? How much stuff can I actually take with me? And how many days of food and water can I fit within my vehicle, along with all the other necessary equipment that I might need if we have to evacuate, if we have to go somewhere outside the impacted zone for whatever the event may be? And then leading into evacuations, talking specifically about go, no-go criteria, planning evacuation and alternative routes, noticing and using alert systems that are already in place to effectively warn us when danger might be imminent, so that we can realize that we only have a set amount of time to leave our home if that's what we have to do. Whether it's hurricanes, tornadoes, fires, with the very real possibility of what's going on in the world right now. It could be something else like an attack. So all these things now are very much so within the realm of possibility. Unfortunately, there's a fixation on thinking that a lot of people are either gonna fight this, or that if something like infrastructure is damaged in some way, that the government's just going to snap it back on. And I'm going to talk a lot about that too, how the government operates, how the structure of our emergency management system and how it pertains to you, because most people don't even know how our federal emergency management, their state emergency management, and their county/local really work. And so a lot of that is going to be focused on talking about that as well, so that that no one may be coming to save you for a very long time. And we'll use historical evidence to kind of talk about that and what took the government so long to respond to certain events like Hurricane Katrina. So this is all things that the channel will be focused on. This is an introduction video, so hopefully I haven't bored you too much. My background, I've been an emergency manager, emergency planner for a couple years now on the East Coast. Other jobs that I have held that really fall into the emergency management realm, and some of these things that I'll be talking about specifically. The emergency manager, I was a regional manager for self-defense insurance, which meant I spent a lot of time with lawyers and talking with people who had real life experiences and the things that they dealt with discharging or using a firearm to defend themselves or their fists. So I have a lot of experience understanding and talking about that stuff. I was a reconnaissance man and scout sniper and held various positions within teams in the Marine Corps, specifically the reconnaissance community. I've been a security and safety manager for an extremely large upscale resort/conference center. I've worked in government in contracting and training, local law enforcement, federal law enforcement. I've done red teaming, where I predominantly focused on physical penetration testing, specifically on the social engineering side. So being able to walk into a facility and build rapport and have fake credentials and stuff like that to gain access as part of a contract with the owner of the company or someone within the company. And then I've done sales, a ton of sales back in the day, working up to that regional manager job in that self-defense company. And I've been an instructor teaching everything from wilderness survival, 22 shotgun, and a bunch of other field skills when I was a Boy Scout. I'm an Eagle Scout. And so I really started teaching and instructing 24 years ago when I was 15. So I'm hoping that I can bring a different perspective, a much more grounded perspective as a father, as a trainer, as a husband, as a veteran, as a patriot, and help you figure out what you need to effectively plan, train, build your resources, build up that community, and be the person that your tribe needs you to be. That is my goal. That is the plan. And if I can help you do that, I have a school channel that this is going to be on as well, where I'm going to talk about that as well and how you can work directly with me in order to help you meet that goal if you haven't gotten there yet. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope this wasn't too long for you guys. Talk to you soon.